Hey everyone, welcome to Opal Oracle if you're new, and hi if you're returning. Okay, so I decided there's a lot of heavenly body shifts, energetic things going on. One of them specifically that this video is about is Uranus. Okay, Uranus is Aquarius's ruler. It rules electricity. It's a pretty intense energy, honestly. Once you get past Jupiter and things become sort of intangible, a lot of things can shift. Now we're going to go in order of the zodiac wheel, starting with who has Uranus in the first house, and we'll timestamp around, okay? Now, Taurus actually has Uranus in their first house. So we have Uranus in Aries, okay? Which also is, the first house is about the self. It is about your own body. That's where when Taurus, you come in to the second house, it really solidifies that, like, who you are, ego, personality, whatever, into the physical world, right? It also determines your outlook on life. Okay, so there could be significant shifts in all these things. Let's see what you received. Hold on a second. It's going to make you lose sight of something originally. Okay, like I heard there's going to be a disconnect in who you were, who you defined as I am this, this, and that, and who you will be becoming. Excuse me one moment. That might have been two moments. Like Monet, for some reason. I hear that. So, Monet, art, right? I sense painting, for a lot of you, would be helpful. Things that are colorful, okay? I see that it's important because the first 6 months of this transit, by the way, I forgot to mention, is a 7-year transit. Okay, so that's a spiritual quest, really, sevens. It also has a lot to do with your emotions. Okay. Now I see that you're looking forward to the winter. Okay. Or wherever you are, December specifically, you're looking towards that. Interestingly enough, that's what it's going to make you do originally. Or there also can be advice that you need to, even through all the changes, because the first 6 months of something, you know, usually things work in 3. The Empress, this is how we grow, right? 3 weeks, 3 months, divisible of 3, etc. But the second 3 is important because that's when we start to make a decision. We're at the Lover's card, right? Technically, if we're going down the line of the major arcana. So it's important for you to not lose sight of what this shift is doing, really, like, because I feel like this is showing me the most fundamental situation, and it really has so much to do with your childhood and with your inner child. because that's when they grew up, right, in your childhood, or when they were around and then we ignored them because we became an adult and we didn't think that that was important. I also see that your children are really important to this process. It could be in a way that because you're an earth sign, you relate your identity, Aries, right, to your family, ultimately to your children. But because it's opposing your 7th house, Libra's house, the house of marriage, of contracts, partnership, others, you know, it's the house of trade also, like the marketplace. Okay, so that also can have shakeups, you know, so there could be difficulty. I feel like I want more cards. It's not going to be the easiest transition if you don't realize that you are the captain of, if you don't remember that you are the captain of your own vessel. Okay? It also has a lot to do with your opposing sign, Scorpio. Okay? This is also a person that doesn't discuss when this is happening at all. When they feel like not contented with what it is that what's going on. You know? And even though you don't stay pissed about it or like upset about it externally, you still hold that pain in your heart and it blocks you and you can't do that anymore. You're not allowed. Now, if you've been working on this process and you're going down the path and you're like, hey man, I've been doing that, well then when you don't get exactly what you think that you deserve in a way, no matter how hard you work, you'll take it as a blessing that you don't have to put energy into that anymore. Okay, that you have an opportunity to begin something new. Now, that can just be a new understanding to your partnerships, to your relationship with others, to the relationship with yourself. You don't have to separate from anything, sever from anything. I think beyond anything, it really has a lot to do with the way that you think about it. Like, because Aries in a way is the ego, it rules the head. Except it's the color red, so it's like, I am who I am. You know, that's why the Emperor's like kind of a dick. Sometimes. My sister's an Aries. Whatever. I love her to death. And she doesn't act like that anymore because she's so sweet and practice and, you know, been doing the work to heal herself. Good job, sister. You too, by the way. Because whether you realize it or not, you've unconsciously put yourself into this position and you already knew in a way that it was coming. And you can see this as such a blessing if you want to, but you are going to feel a little bit alone in the process. And again, I see that creativity is and sunlight is one of the most important ways for you to get through this process, okay? So that you can have a higher perspective about it and have the energy that you need to achieve what it is that you need to achieve. And also the comprehension and the emotional maturity to not putting energy into something that isn't doing you any good anymore. Because we have to keep learning in life. If we stop learning, well, then the contract's over, right? Wow, interesting. I didn't expect these to go this way. All right, I guess it will do 10:30 for Aries. All right, Aries, Uranus and Taurus and the sign of Aries. Hold on. Actually, let me write that down that time. Ah, shucks. Hold on a second. Don't worry, you know exactly where everything is. Okay. Now, you have Uranus, while I'm shuffling, you have Uranus in the second house, which actually is Taurus's house. This just popped out. Because the second house, let's see, the second house rules your resources, your inner resources, your external resources, your possessions, right? Hold on. I see it's any of you who play music, that would be very important to this process. That's a creative way for you to heal, or to keep, at very least, keep centered during this transition, because I'm guessing some of you may skip ahead, but Uranus is Aquarius's ruler. It is electricity. It is sudden shakeups. I always associate the tower to that, but technically it's Mars, which is your ruler, if you will, one of them. So we have to expect the unexpected in these areas, but also know that it is expansive, because it's about the collective, okay? It's about humanity as a whole. But it can be very dramatic. And you actually just made me realize that I don't want to waste my time saying it with any of the other videos. See that bumble? So thank you for that, for teaching me about that. Now, Uranus in, hold on a second. You have two cards with stars in them. Okay? Which actually the star card is Uranus, is the Aquarian card. In one way it shows me that through the shifting, this, and I heard sifting also, there's going to be a great clearing, okay? A great ability for something where you've been containing some sort of light from the world, like afraid to let something out, or to it's sort of about preservation. But you have plenty, and so you are as infinitely connected to the stars as anything else, okay? This is a 7-year transit, so it's a pretty big deal. I mean, it goes back and forth. It hasn't happened since the 1930s, okay? Since around the Great Depression. I think it was 34 it started. So we get to think about that kind of situation, you know? I would also say, since it's in your second house, which is about your resources, I can see sometimes you have a lot of it, and sometimes you do need to be a bit more reserved. But you can be creative in the process, and you'll find out more ways on how to, because part of those, again, resources are your internal resources and your fire. So it's like, how do you deal with your own energy? Where do you put it? Where do you pull it from? Because if Uranus is just there, like pulling whenever it wants, you need to know how to deflect that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be really creative. It's okay, baby. Be creative about the process, because it can seem like a lot, you know. Ow. It's okay, baby. He's just going for a walk. Come here. You're such a good guard dog. You're a good guard dog. She wants a job. I also see that any of you who are creative, because it sort of shifts, whatever way you've been doing something, now you're doing something different. I mean, it can be in a similar vein of sorts, but there's like an expansion or like a left turn or a side ramp or something like that, a staircase that brings you to another place. And I see that it's important for you to really view this from a childlike perspective, okay? Know that what you actually have the ability to create intimidates other people, and in a way that's really cool. Now, the only way that that can work negatively against you is when you don't keep your ego in check. Okay, there's a need to be humble. Not that you're not, but you know what I'm saying? Like when we, because you also rule, you know, the self, which is where the ego kind of sits. There's something about painting with you also. That was my grandpa's favorite bird, Grampy Lee. Now, it is interesting also that this character here is standing on the ground, okay? And they have a companion. This one is just up in the stars by themselves, okay? Not really that grounded. It is next to this card, so I see that you have an ability to, like, I heard walk the staircase of your dreams. But because you're in Taurus's house, your creativity has to be very practical. And that goes back to your energy. Like, whether you reserve it or whether you don't, like, where is it going? And I kept hearing the word doubling. So, also with Uranus and these two stars here, is you could be getting what it is that you want within that second house, okay? But it may not be the way that you intended. It'll be a surprise. And it could be, because it's kind of a shocking planet, or shocking plane, it's important to take that Taurian, maybe do some research on Taurus and like what that's all about, okay? Also, being around other earth signs could help you in some way or another, or just being like in the earth, being like barefoot in the ground, etc. Because these, again, these entities, energetic sky bodies, are beyond Saturn. It becomes more challenging. I guess that's it. You could be moving also. But you won't know which way to go. In a sense, like you're considering, like if you moved, where you would move. Keys are also about responsibility. So with that, next to this, I'm sensing something about your keys really do reflect what it is you're responsible for. Okay, so and each responsibility takes up time. So I guess it's really important to pay attention to time and to be patient and accepting in the changes that will be happening through this transit. Okay, 2150. Let's do 2120. Pisces. Excuse the delay. What is it now? 2025. Pisces. Hold on a second. I guess while I'm shuffling I can repeat, although I don't like to repeat myself. This is the Uranus transit. It's 7 years. It is in your third house, Gemini's house of communication. It's in an air sign. You are water. This can represent your siblings. This can represent, of course, communication. It can represent school. Also writing. Everyone's sort of had a creative aspect. I would say that writing would be good for you. Your Pisces Uranus transit. There are going to be hurdles. Because Uranus is kind of impulsive. Like if you think about like a riot or like people getting up in arms about something, you know how people do politically, whatever, because they're so, because it's a trick and it's like the 1984 like hate rally or whatever. You know what I mean? It's really sad that people still fall into that. Actually, it bothers me in my soul. But anyway, try to love one another right now. And not to be like some hippie or some post like psychological operation of the, you know, hippie era or whatever, but really like it is important to love one another, but we can't love one another if we're angry at ourselves, if we're angry at other people. It just doesn't work like that. Pisces. So I sense with all that sort of jazz that I just said, it's like in your communication house, you may be, because you kind of hold things in, right? But you can't anymore. I see that you could end up with kind of getting fights with some of your friends, like some of your friend circles. You might have difficulty communicating with them. Okay. And it's important for you to be aware of that, because what it's actually teaching you is to be more in tune with your feelings, because if your feelings are in check, you're not going to verbalize and take that energy out, right? If you feel good. Okay, if you're aware of how to handle the terrain, because again, anything you've been hiding, or suppressing, I guess, because I see that you really do want a tight-knit community, you know, like you, but what is, I heard, what is your participation in it? Okay, that's going to be in question. as is other people's participation to you. Okay? Again, it's important for you to love your siblings. Okay? It's important for you to... Part of this lesson is so that you no longer jump through the hoops that you were programmed to jump through, whatever routine in ways of your communication that you gained from your family. Okay? Like, you'll completely close it out, which is cool. I mean, it's a 7-year transit. Let's hope that we all learned something significant from this particular energetic combination, right? Because the thing is I know that you want more fun in your life, and you actually don't have as much fun as you want. You don't feel as connected to people as you want because you actually don't, it's not that you don't stay on the sunny side, but like, this bird. I guess there's also going to be shifts in your night and day in accordance to how you, like what your friend circles are. I guess that's a strong emphasis here. Okay? I see particularly anything having to do with the mother. I also see a brother or a son. God, the sun is so bright. They sprayed all morning. It was a beautiful blue day and they just blasted it. See, like that kind of situation. See, if you know what a chemical trail is, you know that this is negative, that it is like what is actually going on around us and the deeper elements of that. There may be people who don't understand what you're saying. Okay, and they may not even care, and you may feel isolated in that. But again, it's so that you can become more in touch and capable, like understand your own capability to handle your rougher waters, your deeper waters, the unknown waters of you, because technically you're the ocean. You know, it's so big. And I know sometimes for you, like forward is really hard, right? Like, what is forward in the ocean? I see that you're going to be learning about how you you're going to be gaining a lot of patience, Pisces, with yourself, therefore with other people. Because sometimes I do think that you have high expectations in people, but you don't necessarily... I mean, all humans are guilty of this, but there's something about you being in the 12th house and so advanced, but still in a way, again, your biggest challenge is your biggest weakness. Or, that too. But your biggest challenge is your biggest strength. You know? Strength is your challenge. We all have it. So you have to fit the bill. Like, you have to, and I think that's what you're really going to understand, is that your participation within the situation is it's so much about fun. You know? Because think about siblings, like when you'd play when you were a kid and you'd run around the neighborhood. For those of you old enough that are allowed to do that, God. But, you know, and you'd, like, come up with games, and you'd stay out until someone, you know, your mom or whatever, like, yelled for you to come home. You know, having that freedom, having that sort of freeness in fun, okay? Because I see that you're opposite Virgo, because you're the hospital, but they're the health, okay? So... part of healing yourself is healing the Virgo aspect, the opposite side of you, your yang, if you will. Because that's what keeps you in the dark. And both of these are about isolation too. So there's a tendency during this time where you're sort of out and about, and then you also are going within. And it's good to find that balance that is appropriate for you so that you can continue again to grasp that some of your communications they were programmed. And you don't have to hold on to them anymore. You know? So that's positive. I mean, granted, it's not going to be all peaches and cream, which I've never actually had, but I bet it's pretty yummy. Maybe like a Georgia peach or something. Georgia. I think I want to visit that place. Never been there. Alright, let's see what we get for time. 31:40. Aquarius, this is your planet. I wonder how long this is going to record. We're only up to 3. Just taking my sweet time. So, let's talk while I'm shuffling. It's in your 4th house, okay? That's Cancer's house. So, you have water in an air sign. This is your ruling. This is one of your main rulers. Aquarius, Uranus transit. Hold on. It represents home. It represents the mother. Represents early upbringing and later parts of life. Okay. Aquarius. The sun is so hot today. Where I live now, it's like one extreme or the other. And that may be doing that sort of energy for all people in this transit, whatever it affects. But I sense, because I said it with you, that's important. Okay? The 4th house also represents traditions in a sense. So, and it's important for you to know what your traditions are, like your annual traditions. Whether you follow the lunar calendar, solar calendar, Gregorian, zodiac, whatever. Mayan. Hold on a second. Where you live is going to be so important to the situation, your environment, okay? I see that you should spend a lot of time in nature. I see that you should also be somewhere close to the sea is where it would be appropriate for you to spend time. Not just the water, but specifically I see the sea. Too hot, baby? You okay? Is it too hot? You're all black. Yeah. Funny puppy. Okay. Because where you gain your traditions from is actually your family, and it's like figuring out what your traditions are for you and your family now. Whether you have a technical family or, you know, of your own, or if it's just your soul family. And because the 4th house is Cancer and it's the home, your body is your home, okay? You are home wherever you are. That's why wherever you are, there you are. And it's important to be comfortable where you are, okay? and to know that you are safe, you are loved, and you are protected. I see that Aries has a message for you. I see that there are angels around you, or whatever sort of, there's help, if you please, but you have to ask for it. Okay? I see that there are there are things here that don't mix. Okay? Like oil and water. They can exist independently, but they cannot exist together. At least for not very long, right? We can shake that, like that old school, the glass bottle that has like the fat at the bottom, kind of skinny, like a vase and a little plastic top, but the Italian dressing. I just had a childhood memory, sorry. See, and that's the thing, is that childhood memory originally was petrifying. Like, I thought I was in trouble. Like, I was in trouble. But I don't relate it like that anymore. And that's something that you're going to come to feel more comfortable with. Okay? I see that, well, I heard specifically religious hymns, but then I also saw like I have a difficult Rahu placement, so I looked up a vibrational mantra to subdue that energy, okay? So I see that it would be wise for you to look up because music, right? Because what is sound? The only reason we can hear it is because it's a vibration. I see that it's important for you to be quiet. Two-thirds of the time. Oh my gosh. Doesn't want me to show anymore. There's something that you're hiding that you're like collecting, you've been collecting, or maybe you accept what others give you in a certain kind of way, having to do with home, with whatever, because those were your family traditions, okay? But I see that you really are closing out old ones and figuring out what works for you and what doesn't, because some things are just it's too cluttered, okay? Like the setup of something is it's not necessary, because what it expresses is that someone's afraid of the dark, and you have to learn to not be afraid of the dark, okay, of being safe. Because you only feel like you have to fight when you don't feel safe. And maybe you didn't feel safe at home, when you were growing up. But that it's all shaken up, because it's your ruling energy. I guess that's what I see. What do we got for time? 39:24. Hold on a second. Let's do one more. I saw this earlier, the Judgment card. It's about being reborn. Okay? It's about a lot of other things, but you have to decide whether you want to become a new person or not. Do you really want to build those new structures or not? Do you want to stick with the structures that you've built since you existed, since you were a little babe, or do you want to change? Because the thing is with change, even if you're a person that's built to enjoy it in a sense, it can really make you feel discouraged about the future, you know, because it's so dramatic. Judgment is not a card where it's like, yeah, I mean, people say like, you're being reborn, and it's all these beautiful things, soft things are true, but it's also like, sort of like the Tower, like when this comes and this change comes, it's because you didn't make the appropriate judgment call for yourself, so the universe did it for you. So that it can finally close a door so that you can open another one. Okay? Because if you keep doing what you did when you were a teenager, you're never going to go anywhere but in circles. Okay? You don't want that. No way, Jose. Okay? Yes. You want emotional maturity. Okay? This is technically Scorpio, but this water, I sense this is all water. You're in a watery house. You know, you have to be in a position of accepting what you haven't received, being okay with it, knowing that you still have the 10 of Cups no matter what, because it's inside of your heart. Okay? Because you are home. You're always home. She knows that. She knows how to make her home whatever she wants, and she's not going to put herself in this position. No way. No way. Like, won't even get close to that, you know? Because she already closed it out. You know? Which goes to show that in a way you've already been working on it, and that's super positive. I'm really glad. I mean, I think most people that watch Opal Oracle tend to vibe with that, you know, because that's kind of, I guess this is just the way that I read, you know? However you resonate, and thank you for being here. Now, what do we got for time? 42:10. Capricorn. Just writing down the times. Okay, Capricorns. It's in your 5th house. It's in Leo's house. So we have Earth, you, and Fire, which is Leo. Okay? It's the heart. It rules the heart. It rules romance. It rules art. Self-expression. Your hobbies, your recreational situations, you know, fun, really. It can also rule children and love affairs. I think you need one more. Capricorn. Aw, you just get the angel that Aquarius did. See, traveling out of the country, being by the water, definitely. Being by the beach, so good. You also have these two watery cards here. Okay. Oops, sorry. I was looking at the reflection. Now, so I guess in one way, you could find a love affair in another country. That's possible. Could also have a lot of fun there. But remember, with it being electricity, it can expand something, right? It can sort of, I heard the word illuminate, but because it makes a spark, right? But it also can be really intense, and that spark turns into like a forest fire. Okay. Now, hold on a second. I like that you're facing the future, okay? You're keeping your eye on the future. You're understanding that there is good to it. You're also sort of, you're really looking at it like there is dark and there is light, okay? You're starting to accept yourself, which is good, Saturn being in your sign. I see that home is really important to you, okay? But I do also see 2 cards of travel, so maybe that's part of the I mean, these three women are like alone doing their own thing. Can you see that? These cards are, I love this one so much. I was meditating on it earlier. I mean, and the angel too. I mean, all of them. These paintings are beautiful. Thank you, Stasia. So there's something strong about independence within this self-expression, okay, within this fifth house. Like, because the opposite house is Aquarius's house. It's your hopes, your wishes, like your social groups, your friends, etc., the collective as a large. There could be some really sort of kind of tumultuous things that happen with those, okay, like out of nowhere. But the reason why that happens is because something needed to change that you didn't want to change. But I mean, we all do that. And I see that you really, even though you're facing the future, there's something about, can you see this? You're facing the future, but you have these two little characters here on the edges. Ooh, when I put it down, I did this. Hold on a second. I did that. Can you see that? This is the future. That's good. So, it means that there's technically two people. For the majority of you, there's probably like at least two people that you're gonna, that aren't gonna be in your life anymore because they don't jive with who you're becoming. You know, or you don't jive with who they're becoming. You know, there's something about the ideals that you have that are differentiating, okay? There's no way to, again, oh, I said it earlier with someone, but the oil and water, it's like, it can exist independently, but really together it doesn't meld. And with it being in Leo's house, it's like, it wants you to, I mean, you could have troubles with your children too, but it really wants to examine and shake you up who you are. How do you define, do you define yourself through your friends, through your social circles? I would say most people do. You know, particularly you, Capricorn, you like regularity in that sense, okay? You want to be accepted by everyone. You don't want to be, you know, you find that kind of shit offensive. I also sense that part of the recreation or your social circles has something to do with wearing certain kinds of dress, certain kinds of garb. Okay, so that might go into like sports, or how you have to wear like some sort of uniform, or maybe just doing something that needs to get out some of that external energy because it's the sun, okay, and you're not used to all that. So maybe physical exercise would be really important, but I would say with Uranus there, it's close enough to the 6th house that you want to be careful while you're doing things so you don't hurt yourself, okay? Take it easy. I want to see what she's looking at. I mean, she was looking at another country. Two other females, regardless of male or female, but two additional cards with singular people enjoying themselves, okay, doing their own thing, really not giving two toots about what anybody else thinks, enjoying themselves truly. It's so important for you to, there's something strong about independence here, okay? There's also 5 females. Which goes back to the Hierophant and about structure. so many sounds right now. It's a dirt bike and a four-wheeler, 3 4-wheelers. Nice. I kind of like 4-wheelers in the middle of the hood. It's funny. I always wanted to do a dissertation on, even if I don't go to school, you know, I don't have a college degree or anything, but if I did ever get my PhD, maybe I'll just do like a Ray Bradbury and go to school by just reading all the books in the library, right? Write 30 novellas or what have you. But anyway, about it's not this whole race push thing. It's not about. I mean, yes, of course it's an issue, but the if we deduce it down, what it is classism. Okay, that's the hierarchy. It's about the money. It's about the gold. Okay, which is value, which is whatever. Who's really on top of the mountain? And the thing is that we are constantly being divided. Okay, and that's the hate. That's the hate machine, the hate brigade. Okay, they love that. They love when humans do that. But the thing is like, how many poor people are there? Shit ton. Pant load. Fucking dump truck load. Train full. You know, really. But we don't combine forces, you know, and maybe that's another thing about social circles and things, is like people combining forces, because it's important to combine forces for something, okay? For the greater good. This is Aquarius. It's about the greater whole, okay? If we try to stick in some ego, like, you know, if you're just sitting around listening to Oprah, I don't know where this is all coming from, but this is what it's telling me. It's funny. Is this the kind of shit you wish you could say, but you don't want to be unaccepted? Well, you're probably, with your self-expression, you're probably going to start speaking up in a way that you usually wouldn't. And I think that that's good, okay? Yeah, that'll give you more freedom to fly free, okay? I see that you've been wanting to fly away from something for a long time. Gain a new skill. So, go get it. Alright, what do we got? Time 52:53. Sagittarius. Alright, so this is in your 6th house. This Uranus transit. 7-year transit. The 6th house is Virgo's house, so we have fire and earth. This can dry things out, obviously, sort of like a desert. So you want to make sure that you are caring for yourself during this time, okay? Caring for your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health, etc. It also rules your employment, your pets and your small animals. As well, it's also the house of divorce. There's a honeybee. Can you see it? I can't tell. It's too fast. Oh shit, is it a hornet? Hold on a second. I don't like it. Hold on. Come on. Get lost. I'm scared that you're gonna hurt me. Oh, it is. Shit. I'm gonna end this right now. I'll start a new video. Bye.